Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move.
Hey, and welcome to iHeart Intellectual Radio, Black Conservative Radio. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, aka the Batman. All right, y'all. So, I'm gonna get in. It's okay. Long story short, I'm gonna just jump right into it. Just jump right in. Okay, tonight's topic is about the level that the world that we live in, the sensitive world that we live in. But this is going to be, the title is called, Alphabet City, the Alphabet People. Okay, now that this is I'm piggybacking off of something Dave Chappelle said, and Dave Chappelle is, and as far as I'm concerned, one of the funniest guys. And not only that, but he's more like one of the somewhat part of or I would classify him as a founding member. And people have to understand. No, let me rephrase that. You have to understand comedy. You have to understand it. Okay, if you are in my age bracket, we had Richard Pryor. Going further back, you had Miles Mabley. You had Red Fox, who was, these were some of the very first individuals who were just completely. It was unfiltered. Then you get to, then you get to Rich Pryor, then you get to Eddie Murphy, and then you get to Bernie Mac, and and get to some of these other comedians of where we're at now. And we're at a point now to where, when you're doing comedy, and you have to fully, and I spoke about this some time ago, but when you're doing comedy, yes, it is going to be it might be, for some people, it may be sensitive, it may be offensive, it may be a lot of things, but that's part of it. That is part of it. So here we are. Okay, so apparently Dave Chappelle was, and people are actually boycotting Netflix to take the piece off from Netflix by what Dave Chappelle was saying. But looking at and looking at the piece, looking at that piece, and as far as I'm concerned, he didn't say anything. He said he didn't say anything wrong. It was just funny. It was just absolutely funny. And here's the thing, and we have to look at this too. One of the biggest things is that we have a lot of people who have sensitive boo-boos, sensitive for whatever reason. Okay, if I walked around with my ass in a sling every day because I'm black, I'd be one miserable SOB. But you know what? I'm black. It's not a whole lot I can do to change that. Okay, and make no mistake, I have been called a nigger. I have been called spook. I have been called a couple of other things that I can't right off, but that's the part to where it's offensive, because you're saying these things to be hurtful. Okay, so when he says what he says, when he was talking about, hey, I don't have a problem with gays or homosexuals, and then when he tells jokes about it, it's funny. It was no different when Eddie Murphy was telling the joke, telling jokes about homosexuals, his words were a nation of fags waiting at the airport, when he got off the plane. Now that was funny, because he's flying into San Francisco, and everybody knows that San Francisco is a hub, is the homosexual hub, or the Alphabet City. I mean, truth be told, I don't know what they're so upset about. I mean, you got 20% of the alphabet. You got the, when you started off, you got the L, G, B, T, Q, and T. I mean, what more do you want? What more do you want? Growing up, and as a young child growing up and having my friends and things of that nature, we would say different things, and as we got older, say with preteen and stuff like that, or 10, and we would say different things like, what, oh man, that's just you gay, or that's so gay, you fag, or you faggot, you homo, something like that. See, it wasn't at that time. We you were saying it in a way to not be it wasn't derogative, it wasn't hurtful. You were just making us, you were just making a statement. You were just saying things. Now, because if we said it to one another, we know, yeah, I mean, we know that this guy is not a fag. We know this guy is not a homo. We know that. He knows that. But now you get to a point we're at a point now here in 2021 to where the word gay, you can't even use the word gay. You can't use it. Somebody's gonna be somebody's little boo-boo gonna be so offended. You can't use homosexual. You can't say homo. You can't say faggot. You can't say they get offended with saying lesbian, carpet muncher, all of these particular things. All of these things. But we living in a society where every single solitary thing that we have to be mindful of what we say. Now, don't get me wrong. Yes, certain things, yes, depending on the situation or the circumstances, yes, you should be mindful on what you say. You should be, but not to a point to where my freedom of speech, my dialect, my language is being policed or being channeled or being censored because somebody feels a certain kind of way. See, this is the part of society to where they're forcing you to accept certain things. Hence the term, it's like mandating something. And you just can't, you're to a point where you're going to get a lot of people that's going to push back. A lot of that to be pushed back. The biggest thing is that if that's your flavor of tea, if that's your ooh la la, whatever, that's your business. I don't need to know about it. I don't want it. Some things I don't want to know about it. I don't care. I don't care. Or as they say, as I heard this, and I'm gonna borrow this line, and they said, what you eat don't make me shit, which is a very true statement. Very true. But we're living in a society where every single thing is about sensitivity, which makes us the softest. We're softest country, the softest country on the planet. We're just too soft. Everything is sensitive. Everything is this. Everything. But I don't hear anybody saying, let's do something about the homelessness. Let's do something about let's work harder on racial injustice. Let's work harder on police reform. Things that actually matter and can change the course of history. But we're worried about somebody being called a fag and taking offense. Somebody being called a homosexual or a lesbian. Somebody from the Alphabet City taking offense because I use the term Alphabet City or the Alphabet people. I mean, what's the truth be told? I mean, we've been called niggers since we got here. It's not to say that we got over it, but that in itself is two different meanings, two different meanings on when you say Alphabet City or Alphabet people, or you're calling a black person a nigger. It's two different meanings. Two different meanings. Here's why, and this is why I say that, and I don't care what you say. I did not have a choice to be born black. I came here. When I was manufactured and left the factory, This was the tone. This was the model and the tone and the color that I came in. That's it. This sensitivity stuff, no, I don't care what you say, and you can disagree with me, fine. You're entitled to that. You're entitled to your opinion, but that's a choice. I don't care what you say. That's an absolute choice. I didn't have a choice to come here. I didn't have a choice of being black. And then we have now. So, and then this is the other part of the gateway. And before I get too far, if you have a comment, and you want to chime in on tonight's show topic, Alphabet City, give me a call here at the studio at 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953. If you have something to say. Also, when you do, just out of respect for other callers, just limit your comments to 5 minutes. And that's it, and you get your 5 minutes. And then if you want to call back, by all means, but just keep them limited to 5 minutes. So that being said, didn't have a choice. These other people have a choice. That is a choice. That is something that you chose. That is something that you decided. And don't hand me this thing, and here's the thing. Don't hand me this nonsense about, I was born this way, or since I was born, I've always felt this way. No. I don't buy that, because there is nothing there, to my knowledge and even my research, there is nothing medically that says that. Nothing medically that says that. Going back and even look and going further. When, and as I mentioned this some time ago when they were talking about the baby formula. Now, certain baby formulas, when they were producing it, what they did is that they put certain, they had certain amounts of cannabis that they added extra, or they infuse extra testosterone. And some of them they increase the amount of estrogen. Okay, estrogen is the hormone for women. Testosterone is the hormone for men. But when you add this into, this was the point to where they were pushing these baby formulas. They were pushing it hard, and they were actually recommending, they were actually telling women not to breastfeed their children. Now, I don't care. Now, understand something. You have children. I have children. And any woman who's ever given birth, or who has nurtured a child or children, and they will tell you that is about as healthy of a nutrition as you get. Now, a lot of that is also depending on what the mother is consuming. Okay, a lot of that is that too. Now, but if she's taking care of herself and kept up with her prenatal and the vitamins and keeping her health in check, that child is receiving those nutrients, and that builds for a stronger child. But when you go away from the program and you're introducing these particular things, this is what you're going to get. They're even to a point now. They're to a point to where now this is just so appalling. It really, really is. That now they want to, or that some states have already started introducing sex education to children in the 2nd grade. Are you kidding me? In the 2nd grade. What in the world does a 5 or 7-year-old need to know about sex? Oh, that's right, because the alphabet people said that this is what we have to do, because children are at that particular age, not only are they most impressionable, but they're unfiltered. That's the most that that's in their life, they're going to be unfiltered. And so when you have one child asking another child, well, how come you got 2 daddies? Well, how come you have 2 mommies? Well, they feel that this should be explained to the child. This is a level of debauchery and confusion that we are slowly have begun to indulge ourselves in. Have begun. There is no earthly reason that a 5, a 7, even an 8-year-old should know anything about reproduction, about sex. There's no real reason. But I tell you what, they're not going to put back in. They're not going to put theology back in. They're not going to do that. There was a certain point where you would learn. You would learn about you would learn religion, or you would learn about spirituality. They're not going to put that back in, but they're going to put something else in there that's totally contradictive, because you're not going to have the two, because one is going to cancel out the other. This is where we're at. This is where we are at. There's no way in the world, I'm so glad that my children are grown that I don't have to deal with this. But the other part is that, I have grandchildren, and this is the gateway that they are subject to be introduced to. And I had one of my daughters. She made it clear that she didn't want her child. She didn't want her child partaking, really participating in that, because there's no need for it. Why should they know this? Why should they learn about this? There's no real value. Why? This is just one of the things to where you're constantly grooming these children into areas that they should not be, and also you're setting them up to be groomed by unsuspecting creepers out there too. We can't leave that out. You're grooming them because when you're telling these children about certain aspects of relations, as children do, as children are, they will become curious. They will become curious. And you don't need that type of atmosphere or activity with a 7-year-old, and you're sitting there with a couple of your friends, and your child comes out and says something completely out of left field. You don't need that. You talk about one of life's most embarrassing moments. That would be it. That would be it. And but going back to the David Chappelle situation. David Chappelle I respect him, and he's going to stand his ground. You're not going to change him. You're not going to change his material, because he's sitting there writing the material. And not to mention some of the individuals from Alphabet City, they actually thought it was funny. And they didn't see the big deal, because it's one of those things to where if you can't laugh at yourself, what can you laugh about? And sometimes, we have to take that into consideration. But we have to, sometimes we have to laugh at ourselves. We have to laugh at the things that are out there, because it keeps us from going insane and losing our shit out there in the real world. There are points to where certain things are laughable. They are. I thought it was absolutely funny when he said, he made the comment, well, I don't know, why are you all complaining? Because you own 20% of the alphabet. That was funny as all outdoors. I don't see what the problem is. I truly don't. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I don't have anything against these people. And like I said, quote unquote, these people, I don't have any problem with that. I just don't approve of their lifestyle. And see, that's then hence the term, because years ago, when you and I was coming up, we would call it an alternative lifestyle. And truth be told, I mean, honestly, I I highly doubt if it comes back. But honestly, I really wish they would bring back Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I really, really do. Now, mind you, that's just my opinion, because a lot of people don't want to know. They don't care to know. It's not important. It is not important. I had a guy I worked with. This is an interesting story. I had a guy that I worked with, and we were sitting at the table one day while on set, and blah blah blah, and I had no idea the guy was gay. I had no idea because why it wasn't important to me. But he was sitting there talking, and he began to divulge certain information that he's trying, because he just seemed out of it. And so he began to explain the situation. We were sitting there talking. He began to explain what was going on, that that his mother was ill. And then this was the funny part. And this is what kind of raised my eyebrow. And he was telling me about what he said. Well, he had come home the day before and found his boyfriend had cheated on him this is crazy. Found his boyfriend had cheated on him with another man. So I'm just like, okay, and thinking to myself, why are you telling me this? Why, what makes you, and I'm thinking, what makes you think that I have any interest in this? And looking at it from hindsight, he was confined because he needed, sometimes these individuals need somebody to talk to because they are confused themselves and trying to understand what's going on. So as time went by, probably about 2 or 3 weeks, I made a comment on Facebook, and and bottom line, I expressed my opinion about how I felt about Alphabet City. And I got a bunch of response back, and even from this guy, and this guy actually told me he didn't want to be friends with me anymore, and actually blocked me from Facebook. I'm like, okay, so you're gonna go on. So all I did was, I put back in the message. Okay, so I guess all of you are gonna go in a little corner and have your little group crying session. Now, see, I was being sarcastic, but I was being truthful. I just expressed how I felt. It didn't change. It didn't change who I thought you were or who I found out you were. That didn't change. I just don't approve of it. And that was just it. And even to now, I don't approve of it. Never have, and I never will. Never will. That's just it. And everyone is entitled to their opinions and their thoughts. They're entitled to that. But don't get to a point to where you feel you have to force it on people. We're even to a point now to where now we're in society to where they're actually introducing homosexuality, because I'm not going to call it anything else, because that's what it is. They're introducing homosexuality through all aspects, all aspects of media. Media. I'm sitting there watching a Starbucks commercial. I'm watching the Starbucks commercial, and they had these two. This one woman walks into the Starbucks. I guess this was a blind. As I figured it out, it was a blind date. So at first glance, you look like, okay, these are two old friends. They're meeting for coffee. Blah blah blah. So as they're sitting there talking and they're laughing, then they focus on the two cups along with the hand, and one woman takes her finger and strokes the other woman's finger, takes her finger and strokes the other woman's hand with. I'm like, oh my gosh, they just had to sneak that in some kind of way. Had to sneak it in. I mean, they're putting it in commercials, television, TV. It's already been in TV shows. They're just inundating people with things that they don't. And then if you say, I'm not comfortable with this, then then they're saying that you are showing intolerance. I'm showing intolerance because I don't agree with what your lifestyle. So I'm black and you don't agree with my color, but I don't have a choice in that. I don't. I really don't have a choice. I'm not in a position to where I can have white privilege, where I can take this off and, maybe, see some homeless white guy laying on the street and take his skin and put it on. Cause I would say, if I saw something like that, see some homeless white guy, I'm saying, you just don't know what you're missing. I'm like, that's a perfectly good white suit that you are really messing up. Give it to me. Let me put it to good use. Let me use it for white privilege. But this is the area that we are in right now. This is where we're at, and this is one of the other things that why that a lot of individuals are so so messed up in decision making and in their heads, because there's so many things out here that have created levels of distraction, and this is one of those things. This is that level. And when you have a distraction, you're less likely to make good decisions, less likely to do that. Definitely less likely. And not to mention, this is a known fact. Do you know that that same-sex couples / marriages have a higher rate of domestic violence than heterosexual or mixed couples? A higher rate of domestic violence. For example, this is a story out of New York. There was a police officer. Her name was Linda Yu. I kid you not. That's Linda. I kid you not. Linda Yu. She was a 5-year highly decorated police officer. 5 years on the force on the NYPD. 27 years old. Okay. And it is alleged that she broke into her ex-girlfriend's apartment, found her in bed with the new girlfriend, and she shot them both, killing the new girlfriend and wounding the ex-girlfriend. Police arrived almost instantaneously, and she admitted, yes, I shot him. I shot both of them. I'd do it again. Once again, this is a domestic situation that went left, and then it went left in the most volatile and violent way. But this is the very reason why this type of activity conduct is so detrimental. I mean, it's like you've ever taken two magnets, and I know some of you all did this when you were in high school and you were in science class, and you took a magnet, and you get on the magnet, you got they say the north and the south for the negative or the positive. So you're taking the two magnets, and if you try to put the two negatives together, they resist each other. Or if you turn it around, you try to put the two positives together, they resist. Only do negative and positive do they actually connect. Think about that for a moment when you're talking about same-sex marriage. Think about that when you're talking about these same-sex relationships. Think about that for a moment, because at the same time, they have a higher rate of domestic violence. And the scary part, between two lesbian women or two gay men, even though the rate is higher, it is more. It is the men are the most. The men are. I'm sorry. Some of the women are the most violent, which is crazy. You have two women. This is crazy. That's that. But don't take my word for it. Do your fact check. Look it up. So with that being said, we're going to take a break here at the bottom of the hour on Black Conservative Radio. Hey, if you're hungry and if you're hungry, get your booty down to Captain Hook's at 85th and Cottage Grove, 103rd and King Drive, and 15922 South Kedzie in Markham, Illinois. Get you some of that great fish, chicken, shrimp. Get down there. Hey, we'll be right back here on iHeart Intellectual Radio.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
These niggas think it ain't crazy out here. with me tonight. I feel like a superhero up in here. When the spit, gotta hit him, gotta get him like new shit. They call me Batman, cause the black mask is on my face. Gun up on my waist, booted and suited in them black case. I'm looking for some hood rats that I take to the back cave. Y'all lame like blank man, while I'm steady serving them like pistol on my utility belt. Like, yeah, I keep my identity to myself. Like, you don't want me to grab that thing from the shelf. Like, I call them Robin, cause that's my only help, right? Okay. Girls hit my bat signal when they know that I'm coming. I say I ain't here for nothing. Now give me that cat woman. That's
hey, and welcome back to iHeart Intellectual Radio, Black Conservative Radio. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, aka The Dark Knight, here at the bottom of the hour. So I'm gonna go into another topic, and I know you all are gonna like this. I know I did when it was brought to me. How many of you all? How many are in a marriage, or have been in a marriage, or in a relationship, and the other side, they are completely, absolutely, positively batshit crazy. You're just asking yourself this question: is like, is this something that And I'm no Earl, and Earl, I'm sure you know some people that. Or even maybe even yourself, you like, I don't even mess with these people. You know what? I'm with this person. I'm with my wife. Hey, those are your people. Those are your people. And then some people actually get offended and say, well, those are your people, but I don't want them coming to my house. I don't want them there. Because see, me knowing myself, and I know my man Earl, I know, and I just said we have a good banter back and forth, and sometimes and we sit here and we laugh about it because it's sometimes it's funny, and then some of the comments he says is just classic. You can't make this up. So he's over there laughing right now. You can't make this up. But I'm sure that some of you have family members like that, and you just like, these people are absolutely batshit crazy. And you say, where do these people come from? And when I say that, I mean, and I'm referencing, you got some individuals to where the one side of the family is just completely unhinged. You got everybody on that side of the family has somehow or another been to jail. From down to Lil Ray to Lil Pookie to Scooter and Scutterbutt and Birdman or whoever, and then they all of them got nicknames. You're like, I don't know who these people are. I have no idea who these people are. But at the same time, you're with this person. You're with them, your significant other, or you're married to them, and you're just like, how do you create the balance? How do you do that? And I'm not gonna lie to anybody. It's very, very difficult. It's very difficult to create the balance because in one aspect, you're trying to be the peacemaker. No, you're trying to balance it between your significant other and their family, because I'm not gonna lie to nobody. I'm gonna be straight up, point blank. There are certain family members, there are certain people on the other side that they could never come to my house. They could never come to I don't care if the world was on fire and they needed a place to hide. They're not coming to my place. They're not coming. You will burn the hell up out there on the street out, and I will not throw you no water to put you out. I'm being absolutely truthful. Absolutely truthful. Because there's some of them that are just that absolutely off the chain ratchet. Absolutely. Absolutely. You just shake your head like, huh? And then there's some that you just, then you look at some people where you're looking at the other side of the family, and then you just got a bunch of complete Sesame Street Muppets. Just absolutely, completely stupid. And you saying to yourself, oh my gosh. And you're thinking to yourself, and their mother kept having children and she kept producing these circus clowns. Wow. Wow. That's all you can truly say. Truly say. It's one of them things where when they say you gotta, be careful, be careful who you have children by. Okay. Because I understand that this is the truth. This is the absolute truth. When you marry someone, yes, when you marry someone, you're not only marrying them, but you're marrying whatever crazies may be on that side of the fence. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. Truth be told, and vice versa. And sometimes you have two families that may carry on like the Hatfields and the McCoys. And if some of you are a little slow on that story, the Hatfield and McCoy these were two families that lived up in the Appalachian Mountains out there in Pennsylvania. And this was a feud that went on for years, and the feud was over a damn pig. A pig, if you can believe that. Yes, but there are some instances where if two families are feuding and it's over various things. It's over various on what somebody said about somebody and they didn't like it, or it's about what somebody said they called out somebody's mama, or they said that that's why he's not your real daddy, and so all that kind of carrying on. And you're sitting there and you're watching this circus of a shit show, like, my gosh, are these people absolutely, have they lost their minds? Have they lost everything that is reasonable? But I kid you not, people. I kid you not that there are people out there in this world that actually function in a chaotic world, and they're okay with that. They're fine. They to them, chaos is the norm. Chaos is normal. I just could never wrap my head around that. And even watching certain members of my own, from my own side, family, and just like I'm just not with that. I'm just not getting it. And there's certain people right now, no, you could never come to, I don't care what you could never come to my house. And then and then tell you, and I would point out, especially that one right there. That one could never come to my house. That person could never be on the same block that I'm on, ever. That's how uncouth and and just completely out there that sometimes these individuals are and can be. Can be. But yes, when you do marry someone, yes, you are married. You're marrying their family too, and it's that's just a package deal on how it comes. But now here's the flip side to that too, people. When you do take up with someone, you marry them, and yes, you're marrying their side of the family also. But there's also a gateway, a guideline, a gateway, a line in the sand that it's supposed to be drawn. Okay, you don't allow that side. You don't allow your family to badmouth your spouse. You don't allow that. You don't do that. Not at all. Whatever you all are having, whatever you are having, she is having, that's between the two of you. The two of you. You don't go off and you bring a sister or a brother into that argument to where you doing this for reinforcement or the backup. You don't do that. You don't. You all are supposed, you sit there and you try to work that part out. But then there are sometimes individuals tend to insert themselves into the relationship because this is what they want to do. And they feel and understand that sometimes 9 times out of 10, these are people who don't even have anybody in their life or not even married, but they try to insert their 2 cents into a situation that they fully don't understand, or most importantly, don't even concern them. Does not concern them. Does not. And that's what happens. This is one of those things that happens. When you are with someone, you all are supposed to be working together. You're supposed to be defending one another. You don't allow someone and to come in and badmouth your mate. They no longer get the right to do that. Whether it's your people or their people, they no longer get to do that. Point blank, period. It's no longer those things that it's off limits now. Off limits. I mean, you all can have that conversation where, hey, I really don't care too much for your brother, or, I don't care too much for your sister. And you're entitled to, and that's what you're entitled to. And that is the extent of what it is. You can even get to a point to where you say, well, you know what? I don't want them coming to my house because I really don't, I prefer not to deal with them. Now that's something that you all are going to, that you all have to talk about. I mean, because he can arbitrarily say, well, no, I don't want that. I don't want your mom and dad here, because your dad is your mom's crazy and your dad's an alcoholic. I mean, can't, look at this. I can't have him over here beating her ass because he's mad because I'm out of booze. That just doesn't work for me. Does not work for me. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. But at the same time, when you get to that point to where you all are working together, and then and it's a point to where you have to keep everything and everybody at a distance, because they can't be part of you all's future. They cannot, because not everybody wants to see you happy. Let's be clear about that. Not everybody wants to see you happy. And there are some people who will purposely sabotage the relationship, purposely, just a level of feel good for themselves. But these are the things that happen. These are the things that happen. And so sometimes you have to be mindful of who you allow in your circle when it comes to family. You have to be mindful. Very, very mindful of who you allow, what, and most importantly, not so much as who, but what you allow also. That's the other thing, what you allow. And that only happens when when you don't address certain things right away. When you don't, because people are going to have their riffs. That's going to happen. That is part of the matrix. That is part of life. That is going to happen. But all that you can do to avoid, then do so. Try to, if you can, try to be that peacemaker between the two, if all possible. Hey, listen, this right now, I've even heard people say, the guy said, well, hey man, that's my wife. Well, she was my sister before she became your wife. Well, see, when she got married, all bets were off at that time. It no longer applies. No longer applies. She gonna always be his sister. She gonna always be that. But at the same time, she's gonna always be his wife. He's gonna always be her husband. Well, he was my brother before he was your husband. Well, you know what? Those all bet that no longer applies. He's gonna always be that, but now he belongs to me now. And that's what she said. He belongs to me. The same, and when you hear, even to a point to where you hear these particular stories of things that are going on between two families, things such as shotgun weddings, fights at weddings, just a cavalcade of things that have gone on because you have two families that don't like each other. Or there's a row of crazies on one side and you just kind of keeping your distance because you don't want to be bothered. And not only that, but you're keeping your children close to you because you don't want whatever that is to rub off on them. And then you got 5 or 6 of these disciples running around your house talking crazy, doing crazy and talking crazy. Nobody wants that. Not at all. None. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. None whatsoever. So, but you know what? That being said, I'm gonna switch gears. I want to talk about this one incident and this is the fact that that I'm in the film and television industry, and I know you all have heard the situation that involving actor and producer Alec Baldwin involving a on-set accident. Now, the story has unfolded that Alec Baldwin discharged a firearm on set, subsequently killing a cinematographer and wounding the director. Now, I'm going to dive right into what I think went wrong on that set, because I worked on number of sets, and even to points to with sets where firearms are present. Firearms are present. I've worked on, having worked on several television shows, but particularly police procedurals such as Chicago Code, Chicago PD, firemen as playing a police officer. One of the things that they stress, and they couldn't stress this enough, was on-set safety, especially dealing with firearms and gun safety, especially that. Now, the proper procedure, in all actuality, should only be one person handling the firearm. One person, what they call the weapon, the prop master, or the wrangler, the weapons wrangler, or the armor. It's only one person. And if you're using a firearm, you're using that. And what was not done, from what I understand, is that there's terms that they use on set involving firearms. There's one that's called a cold gun, a cold gun, and a hot gun. A cold gun means that the gun has been cleared, meaning that there's no rounds and there's no live rounds in it. Not only that, but there's no live rounds, but it also has been verified clear by at least 3 people. That means that the 3 people who should look at this should be the actor that is who is going to have this weapon in his possession, the assistant director or the first AD, the director, and the prop master. And these are this particular chain of command ensures that they don't have what they had happen on Alec Baldwin's set. And what you do is that when, depending on if it's a revolver, you open the chamber, you tilt it, you look down and make sure that there are no projectiles still stuck in the chamber. You look down the barrel, you shine a flashlight down the barrel to make sure that there is clear. If you can see light at the end of that barrel, then it's clear. The same thing with a automatic. What you're doing is that you're ejecting the magazine. You're ejecting the magazine, and you pull the slide back to clear it. If should there be anything in there, same thing. You're shining a flashlight, and that is done numerous times. I myself, I've seen it done, and even when they give us prop weapons and then bringing mines back, I'm clearing it and then I'm handing it back to the prop master, completely magazine ejected and the slide pulled back to show that it's clear. But he's still going to clear it himself, because at the end of the day, he is ultimately responsible. And what apparently has happened is that a lot a lot of procedures were not safety procedures were not followed. Most importantly, a safety meeting they didn't even have, from what the reports are saying, is that they did not conduct safety meetings. That is a problem. I remember back in 2012, something like that, and working on PD. And this was one of the things to where they told police officers, or active police officers, not to bring their weapons to set. And apparently, and this happened twice. Apparently, one officer brought his weapon, and apparently he did not properly clear it, and his weapon discharged on set. A live round, okay, discharged. And at that particular point, they just said, no, nobody, don't bring your service weapon to set. They would give you prop weapons. Even still, they would change that. When I worked on another movie where we had to handle rifles, the same thing. We ejected the magazine, we opened the dust cover, we pulled the slide back, making sure that it was completely clear. And not only that, but we had a safety meeting. Hey, this, and this. But this is one of the things that happens when you are working, when you're working low budget and cutting corners and not following proper procedure. Nothing, I don't care what you say or what walk of life you come from, nothing takes the place of proper procedure or safety. Nothing takes the place of that. Nothing. And this is this being a shooting on set. This is actually the third on set involving a firearm with an actor. The first one was a guy named John Eric Hexum in 1984. He was playing around with a revolver, and the gun was loaded with blanks. And this guy, for whatever reason, in his infinite wisdom, put the gun to his head, discharged the weapon, and killed himself. Now, even though it had blanks, you have to understand the blank is just a cartridge with gunpowder and what they call a wadding or a wadding of cotton. Understand something, that at that close range, that wadding is coming out of that chamber the same amount of speed as a projectile. Moving on to 1993, Brandon Lee, the son of the late Bruce of the martial arts Bruce Lee. Brandon Lee was suffered an on-set shooting accident while filming The Crow. Same situation. And the gun was not properly cleared, and what had happened is that one of the fake tips for the projectile was somehow or another got lodged in the barrel. And when the actor who discharged the weapon, thinking that the weapon was clear, thinking the weapon was safe to use, not aware, once again, not following proper procedures, making sure that when you open that revolver, looking down the barrel to making sure that there's nothing in the barrel. And this is subsequently what happened, is that he was struck and killed by a rubber tip bullet at close range, because that was coming out of the barrel at the same speed as a live round. And once again, here we are with Alec Baldwin in 2021, the same situation. Now, a lot of these particular things can be avoided if you take the time, if you're doing your job correctly. And that's one of the most important things about this job, about acting, is that there are a lot of different ways that you can get hurt or even killed if you're not, one, paying attention and following proper procedures, following protocol. And all indication appears that protocol was not followed. Safety meetings were non-existent. And a lot of this, and here's the other thing too, a lot of this, and see the people that are going to suffer the most. And yes, we understand that the woman who was killed, yes, her family, because she had a husband and two children. Yes, they're going to suffer, but the other two people are the director and the assistant director, because see, these are two individuals who are in charge of the set. And if the sheriff department or the if the DA sees fit, they can actually charge these two individuals with negligent homicide. That's because they're not going to charge them with murder because there was no intent. But what they can charge them with is negligent homicide, and because all they have to prove is that their conduct or their lack their negligence, their conduct prove fatal or cause the death of another, meaning that you did not follow procedure. And this is going to be something that is going, I'm sure that's being talked about on every set across America right now, on safety, the proper way to who is in charge, who does this, who does that. This is definitely a topic that is being discussed. You better believe. If you don't believe me, try. If you don't believe me, try me. I'm telling you, it is happening. It is happening because something like this always has a ripple effect. Always. And even to a point where some TV shows may change the way on how they deal with firearms on set. I mean, you have a lot right now. You have several TV shows, especially police procedurals, that deal with firearms. I mean, you have, like say you got 911, you got Chicago PD, you have the Rookie, just to name, just to name, just to name a few. So you better believe that they're going back and they're revamping how they're to handle this and make sure that this particular type of incident does not happen. So with that being said, you all, I see the lights flashing in the distance and the helicopter has just landed. So that means that's all the time that we have here on iHeart Intellectual Radio, Black Conservative Radio. So with that being, hey, I want you all to, remember, take something away. When you take something away and use that in all practicality in your everyday life. So with that being said, not my monkey, not my circus.
Let's go. Atomic batteries to power.